now that I'm the intellectual of the century, I should have some optimism about finding the first of my wives. I think I would have to have more than one wife. She would have to have other women who would endure the high level of stress. That it wouldn't be just one wife. I think I would have multiple wives. And I think I should get started soon because my intellectual legacy is so great. The Jews thought they buried me, and they thought I would never be greater than their favorite, Samuel Gaskin. He's disgusting. I hope he will suffer immense humiliation. And my greatness is such that I should expect the first of my wives within this year or within the next few years. I should expect the first of my wives, and she should be prestigious enough that that she doesn't have to. She wouldn't be an impediment. No, that she wouldn't be a burden, I should say, who would prevent me from getting another prestigious wife. And they both have to. They should both be fairly prestigious to begin with, and these would be shared wives, because after I leave them with the endowment of my large brain genetics, after I leave them with the endowment of my large brain genetics to give birth to one of my large brain children, I would probably release them to be claimed by another man as their wife, and I would have another wife. Work my way up. I would work my way up to the third wife. She would be have a large brain, a very large brain. But the first wife should look good, and the second wife should look good. She should be competitive and very attractive, so that I have enough prestige to get the momentum to get my next wife and my next wife. I don't believe in having multiple exclusive wives. I believe in having multiple shared wives and one exclusive wife. Hopefully, the last one with a large brain. I would go to Europe, and I would hazard going into the regions of a monarchy regime, looking for a wife, hoping that the monarchy regime intelligence agencies would not interfere too much to prevent me from getting a large brain young Scandinavian wife to be my third wife after two diversity wives. I expect I would maybe think maybe an Arab wife or a South Asian wife or the Latin American wives. I don't think they've admired me very much. I haven't ruled them out, but so far I've had bad luck with the Latin American women. Maybe a small Mexican wife who looks very good. That's fine. She could be prestigious enough if she looks very good, but I have to keep getting wives to enhance my prestige, to work my way up to get that big brain Scandinavian wife. And if things don't go as planned and I'm still alone and I'm not prosperous and I haven't got much hope and I cannot escape to the European Union, then they have to let me go. The USA has to let me go to the European Union, escape across the Atlantic. The USA has to let me get across the Atlantic to escape them, because they've got a complete lock. It seems they've got a complete lock on the American continents, and they make all the South American women hate me. So I would have to go to across the ocean, maybe. I have to have prestigious wives. You see, I have to build my prestige, and if otherwise, then I would have to consider myself a prisoner, and then I have to do something about being a prisoner. So then I hate to say it, I would have to die if I don't get a wife within a certain number of years soon, and it shouldn't be difficult for me, and I'm going to put up hundreds of videos. But anyway, I'm optimistic because my intellectual work is so great. So I am looking forward to. I have to make sure that people are mentally prepared to say that if I have a Mexican woman as my first wife, that she's prestigious enough, even if she's small, and that they don't have a bias and say she's not tall enough. Well, Yeah, I've seen tall Mexican women, but they're not very common. I thought maybe I should have a taller wife. And then the second wife should be a Mexican wife. I'd like to have a small, petite Mexican wife as my second wife, because some people are critical of them, and they might argue that she's not prestigious enough because she's small. So I should showcase a second Mexican woman, as a very perfect Mexican woman, as my second wife, and my first wife should be a large woman. And I would hope for maybe an Arabic African woman who's large and prestigious, and she doesn't drag me into a commitment to exclusively Islamic identity. And I would tolerate that our children with my children with her, or her children with me, they can be Muslim if they want, but I wouldn't be pressured by a whole bunch of Muslims who say, we expect you to commit yourself to religious causes and do all this. And I'm going to go for that next wife, the Mexican wife, after the Arabic African wife. I want that petite, small Mexican wife with the perfect proportions, to showcase her and say, don't you think she's also prestigious? And then go on to the third wife. And I think I have to be competitive in the brain size competition. Anyway, maybe it's not going to happen, but if it doesn't happen, well, I'm not going to stick around to endure a bunch of people who refuse to recognize my intellectual achievements are so great that I have become the undisputed intellectual of the century, and which is confirming that my enormous brain size actually has a purpose. So I can't sit around enduring an anti-intellectual global consensus. After my work is done, I'm going to make hundreds of videos between now and my deadline, and either people are going to recognize my great achievements, they're going to recognize my great achievements, and I'm going to get those wives, or maybe not. And after that, well, I think they're going to make some of the antagonists the wretched, evil men who've been parasitic on me are going to get turned into transgenders after I die. Then my ghost is going to go out into the minds of the society. If that happens, I mean, I don't want to die, but that's one of the possible outcomes, because they are refusing to recognize my intellectual achievements, and they won't send any journalists to interview me. So I'll just cut this video. I don't want to go any further on this video. I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to a big Arabic African wife, a big woman who's Egyptian. I saw an Egyptian man who was handsome, and I thought he was sort of like one of my self-concepts would be if I was in sort of daydreaming about being is Islamic, or a pharaoh, maybe a pharaoh. So if I can find a good, large Egyptian woman to be my first wife, who has a good, prestigious look about her, and I can start with that. I have to start with a woman who gives the impression that there's a unanimous recognition that my first wife is prestigious, and equally as prestigious as any other man's wife. Unfortunately, that's biased towards larger, taller women, but then I would move on to my second wife, and I would show that a small woman can be equally prestigious. Anyway, that's all for now. And the third wife, the one for the brain size competition. All right, that's all for now.